All right. Yo, yo, yo. What is good, everybody? It is your boy, Lincoln Clay, the godfather of gaming, the ageless wonder. You know what to do. Hit the like button, hit the bell icon. The rest will take care of itself. If you're new to the channel, welcome aboard. And I want to welcome everybody to Wakanda as we are live from Wakanda. And my apologies for the very late start on Live from Wakanda. I woke up this morning at about 7:30, and Sick was already streaming, and I did not want to bump heads with him. As you guys know, that I don't have a concrete time on Live from Wakanda because I'm trying to stay out of the way of the PlayStation Plus podcast. So he's got his in, so it's time for me to get mine in. So I don't feel, and as you guys know, this show is about, talking about the gaming weekend review, what happened the past week. And yeah, there was some news this week, but I have felt like a lot of it wasn't worth talking about. But for the most part, I've been having an absolute ball. Mr. Pyle, what's up? But for the most part, I've been having an absolute ball with that Oculus. Oh my God. Wow. And so the big problem with the PC is that I don't think there's enough PCs to go around between me and my son. As far as the gaming PC goes, as far as him playing Roblox, he could play. I'm doing pretty good, Mr. Pyle. Did you get the mod upgrade? Always? No, I did not. So, I mean, I'm not advanced when it comes to PCs. I just know basic shit. So a lot of things that I do, whatever the default settings are, that's usually what I leave it on. But, as far as my son, the games that he likes to play, he can play Roblox from this computer, or he can play from the gaming computer, or he can play from his Xbox. So he definitely has a choice there. But when it comes to Gears of War 4, he definitely likes playing from the PC because he likes that 4K 60 on the PC over the 4K 30 on the Xbox One X. So Mr. Pyle, I would like to make you a moderator, but I think I got enough moderators. And the people that are moderators on my channel, I trust them. Because one thing I don't want happening, one thing I have found out over the months is that there are people who don't like each other that are in the same chat, and I don't want somebody getting blocked from the channel over a beef that has nothing to do with me. And then, if they get blocked, then they have to go through all these third-party methods to get the word back to me that they got blocked, and then I gotta, go look into it and find out what happened. I mean, so, but who knows? That's not to say I won't, look into it later, but if I decided I want to add a couple of moderators, you definitely be one of the first people in line. No question about that. So, I kind of got a busy day today. I want to try to keep this podcast under an hour. Because once I get done, a button broke on my keyboard. I think when I was playing at Premium Bowling and I was taking a swing, I was too close to the PC. So my hand hit the PC as I was making my swing on the bowling game. And I think it hit the keyboard and knocked it off the PC and knocked the button out of the PC, out of the keyboard. Which, is not really a big deal because it's one of the buttons off to the right that I don't even use. But, hey, it gave me an excuse anyway to go to Best Buy after this podcast is over so I can get a new keyboard. I want to get a lighted keyboard. My computer's lighted. The mouse is lighted. And as far as the keyboard goes, the only thing that's lighted on the keyboard is the Cyber Power logo. But I want to get a fully lit keyboard. So when I'm playing games in the dark, I can still see the keyboard because that shit kind of gets on my nerves, turn the lights off, turn them on, all that kind of stuff. So I'll definitely be heading out of here to go to Best Buy after this stream is over. And then I got to try to get back in time to get ready for the PlayStation Legion podcast with J-Tech. He runs that at about 3 o'clock, and I'll be there. So make sure you check that out as well. So let's get into the gaming week that was. Again, I don't think there was a lot of stuff this week that I really talked about, but a lot of it was on me because I was too wrapped up into the Oculus. But that is part of this podcast, speaking more about the Oculus. Obviously, you guys have seen that since I've gotten the Oculus Rift, I've been speaking highly of the Oculus Rift and speaking less of the PlayStation VR. I do realize that. I don't want anybody to think that, that I abandoned the PlayStation VR, because I have not. I'm just going to be honest about the difference between the two platforms, not the headsets, the difference between the two platforms. And that's what it's all about. Spark Guy, you said live from the power of the cloud. Hey, Spartan God, man, I'm telling you, I'm having a ball with that Oculus. I really am. And there's a ton of games. And I said that before. That's the big difference right there, is the games. Yeah. He said Lincoln is a traitor. But like I said, I'm gonna get into that, the nuts and bolts about the different platforms, because I want to reiterate that I have not abandoned the PlayStation VR. But now I've gotten to the point where each headset serves a certain purpose. I miss PS4, Lincoln. Hey, when it Mr. Pyle, well, I promise when the next generation comes up, I'm going to save it to a little bit later in the podcast. So let me go ahead and get into the news. Let me go ahead and get into the notes that I took down this week, say what I got to say about them, and then move on to this Oculus PSVR thing. So, like I said, I didn't take down much notes, but at the beginning of the week, we had this has been going on for a while, but I just now, was made aware of it, that there is a Game Pass app at the Google Play Store. So this third party shit and Xbox becoming an app, this shit is in full motion right now. They started to, it seems to me like Xbox is starting to move at a feverish pace with this Game Pass and trying to get this shit on every platform. It seems they're moving a lot faster than I thought they would. I mean, they're moving as if they're behind schedule. The Game Pass app or the Xbox app? Hey, what's up, Blue? I believe it's the Game Pass app. Because I have the Xbox app on my phone because I use it to communicate with my son. If he's on his Xbox and he needs to talk to me about something, he can invite me to a voice chat, and I can voice chat him from my phone. So I absolutely do like that about the Xbox app. So, my son is always in touch with me. But I'm talking about a Game Pass app. I believe I saw a Game Pass app at the Google store. Yeah, you said Google is breathing down their neck, but I don't think Google is going to take that off of the Play Store once they get this shit up and running, because I'm sure they still, I think it's no different than the situation with, Sony's letting Microsoft keep the Blu-ray technology on the Xboxes, because that's money coming to them. No, but let me go back and double check the Play Store and see if that Game Pass app was there. Yes. Xbox Xbox Game Pass. Yes, that is an app at the Google Play Store. So again, they got this shit in full motion. And so myself, I don't really find it. It is what it is. We knew they were moving in that direction. Oh, Spartan guy, you said Lincoln was playing Wii Sports this morning. What's up, Blue? I know I already said Blue to you, but you're also saying nah, but if Google does the same better, the Xbox brand is irrelevant. Yeah, I mean, it's going to be a jungle out there, but I think I will admit, I do think what's going to separate Game Pass from these other streaming services is that Microsoft will allow you to, play from any device. I don't know if that's going to be the case with Google. I mean, they're going to be coming out with their own console. Well, I don't know. I don't know when Google comes out from this streaming service, because I think a big chunk of the money that all these streaming services I think is going to be looking for like Google, and I think Amazon, if they decide to get in this shit, Microsoft, maybe even Sony a little bit. J-Dog, what's up? I think a big chunk of the money that they're going to be looking for is going to be coming from the mobile market. Because I'm still, on the outside looking in, I'm under the impression that these mobile games don't cost shit to make, but they make a ton of fucking money, roping people in with the game being free to play, and then people spend money on the game. So, is this Crackdown 3, Ryu Hayabusa? How you been, man? So I think in the case of I don't know. So I think when Google gets involved in this shit, I think it's going to be a level playing field if they bring a console to the market. They're going to have a console that you can access all this shit. So holla at Eddie Williams. What's up? How you doing? I think that when they get involved in this shit and they roll out their own console, I think you'll have a situation where you can play the games from their console, and then I think their streaming services is going to reach out across the mobile market as well. So I think it's going to be kind of a level playing field. I think the only thing that might separate them is that, Microsoft still has Gears, Halo, and Forza in their back pocket. But I think in a lot of these AA games that they have in these bootleg developers make for them. But I think it's going to be a jungle out there because everybody and their mama trying to make a fucking streaming service. I'm thinking about starting up the what should I call it? The Lincoln Clay I don't know, the Lincoln Clay Mafia game service. I don't know. Shit, I might as well make one. Make a Soldier Boy box or something like that. See if I can get in there and get paid. Christopher Hart, what's up? And Robert Evans, how you doing? Because where do you think Phil got that 2B gamer NR from? I don't know. Again, because a lot of sometimes when Phil Spencer name comes up, sometimes the shit goes one ear and out the other. So sometimes I miss out on the news what's going on with him. Because I think Phil Spencer's I think Phil Spencer is the biggest con man who ever stood on the stage in representation of Microsoft. He is by far the biggest con man that's ever worked for him. But I don't know with this cloud gaming and shit like that. I just don't know how this is going to play out. We'll just see. Sam Ash, what's going on? I see you abbreviated your name. Makes it a little bit easier for me though. And you doing good, Robert Evans? That's good. The only thing I can really say about this is I'm sticking to my. You said Neo sucks. The one thing I will say about Microsoft headed into this cloud gaming, games as a service direction, and trying to get their shit on every single device is that yes, it has made the Xbox irrelevant. And I do not see in that console sale. And I think Microsoft knows and expects that the console is not going to sell. And I think that's one of the reasons why they are not going to get in VR. Why would you spend, why should they spend whatever amount of money they might spend getting involved in VR and nobody's going to buy that console because Microsoft has given you every reason not to buy the console. And slowly but surely, I'm starting to hear about people making the jump to PC. And those who haven't made the jump to PC, at the very least, they've been talking about it. So I'm beginning to feel like if anybody makes the leap to PC, I can pretty much say that if they make the leap to PC, there won't be any reason to buy an Xbox. Because you'd be spending $500. And it's not, and it's not about so much about the downgraded graphics, because I'll be brutally honest, it is really, really tough to tell the difference between the Xbox One X and PC. But I know that, I know that I'm limited by my TV. I know that my TV bottlenecks my computer, so I'm on, based on what a couple of people have told me, I could probably get more out of it, because I think right now I'm getting 4K 60 out of it. I'm under the impression that I can get more out of it on Gears of War 4, but my TV is the bottleneck. I probably won't get more out of it until I get a monitor as such. But still, my son still is able to tell the difference in the frame rate between, he can still, he says he can tell the difference between 4K 30 and 4K 60. He says it runs smoother on the PC, and he absolutely loves playing Gears of War 4 on the PC. And we actually discussed about whether I would get him a PC down the road. And he wants a gaming PC, but I told him it would come at a price that he would have to give up his Xbox One X because he can't have both because of how much money I would end up spending. So he says he'd have to think about that because he doesn't want to give up his other games, Gears of War 1, 2, and 3 and stuff because they're not available on a PC. But, but that's the determining factor right there. So in a sense, Spartan God, do I want to hear an old joke? Yeah, give me a second, Spartan God. So simply put, all the games that he has on his Xbox One X, if he could play those games on the PC, he would gladly give up his Xbox One X in favor of a PC. Christopher Hart, you said Sony launches so many hit games and didn't care what anybody had to say about this console champ. Hey, they showed you, you said, oh, joke, Nintendo. Ah, shit. Christopher Hart, exclusive matters. I mean, how many times have you heard YouTubers say it? It's been said a trillion times. Exclusives matter. So now that I've made this jump to PC, I could probably honestly tell you that if Sony pulled the same shit that Microsoft did and allowed all their games to go to PC, there would be no reason for me to own a PlayStation or an Xbox. But Sony has still given me a reason to own a PlayStation, and they still have compelling exclusive. They still have the best exclusives. Mr. Pyle, you said Sony is about to announce more exclusives at even in March, or the dates for them. Yeah, that'll be cool to get some dates here. I think I had heard a rumor that The Last of Us 2 could come out in October. I'm going to be watching that very closely because if that turns out to be the case, that could still weigh in on my belief that the PlayStation 5 could release in November of 2019. But if it's true that Anaconda and Lockhart, if it's true that one or both of those consoles is going to get revealed at E3, count on it. One of those consoles are getting released this year. And that takes me back to what I was saying about the race for 2019 is on. I've got the receipts. I've got, I did a video where I said the race for 2019 is on. Microsoft and Sony has displayed of history of having fierce fights to get out the blocks first. And I don't expect this to be any different. All this survive together, let's play together, cross play, all this kumbaya shit. I'm not buying that because obviously Microsoft is still trying to sell consoles, even though it's not at the top of their priority list. They're still trying to sell consoles. Otherwise, they wouldn't be revealing new consoles. So with that being said, they know they're going to get slaughtered by the PlayStation 5. So it only makes sense for them to try to get their console out before the PlayStation 5 hits. Thus, we have the race for 2019. And I've been saying that for months that the race for 2019 is on. Now, I could very well be wrong about the PlayStation 5 launching in November of this year, but I'm still supremely confident in my belief that one of those consoles, whether it's Anaconda, Lockhart, or PS5, whatever, one of those consoles is going to release this year. And with all the consoles that Microsoft supposedly has lined up, the diskless Xbox, the streaming box, Anaconda, all that shit, they can't release all that shit together. They got to spread those consoles out. One of them is going to come out this year. Another one's going to come out next year. And I don't know, how long the other one is going to come out. I think with Anaconda, when they release Anaconda, probably they might sit and wait to see what Sony's going to do, which, I don't know. We'll see how that plays out. But I still think they're going to try to get one of those consoles out. Since Microsoft is still on this power tip, I think whichever console is the weakest, that's the console that they're probably going to try to get out first. Fatal Sharad, what is up? He said the minute they are satisfied, they will break the partnership with no problem. I still think Sony got to watch it because even though Microsoft trying to stick their hand out in friendship and act like they want some kind of partnership, them motherfuckers still got a knife behind their back. And as soon as Sony reaches out and shake hands with them, Microsoft going to pull that knife out and try to stab the shit out of them. This is a ruthless company that cannot be trusted. I think, I was firmly against the crossplay when Microsoft was pushing for that shit because not only did I believe that it would stifle sales of the PlayStation's consoles, I also believed that Microsoft would try to destroy their infrastructure from the back door if they did allow crossplay. And I think Microsoft, will they do it? I don't know. Are they capable of it? Yes. So Cyber Dragon, what is up, partner? I've seen a couple of your streams, man. But I was catching them late at night, man, because I've seen some of your streams at like 2 a.m. and shit, and I had to get to work, so I was only able to watch them for a few minutes. You said 1440p is the sweet spot, Mr. Pyle? All right. You said Nintendo will break their partnership with Microsoft the minute they are satisfied with their online. That's an interesting one because Game Pass being on the Nintendo Switch definitely benefits Microsoft, but does it benefit Nintendo? There's been some, belief that in exchange for Game Pass coming onto the Switch that Nintendo, Microsoft would help Nintendo with their online infrastructure. So that would be interesting to see how that plays out because I think if they don't have something like that in place, I don't see how Game Pass coming to the Nintendo Switch benefits Nintendo. The only way I can see Game Pass coming to the Switch benefits Nintendo is if somebody was thinking about buying an Xbox, if they already have a Switch and they were thinking about buying an Xbox, with Game Pass coming to the Switch, they would keep that money in their pockets and use that money to probably buy Game Pass and play the games through Game Pass. I still It just, to me, Game Pass trying to be on all platforms is Microsoft piggybacking off of everybody else. You know, and both Zaire and Craig, you know, kind of made that analogy that Microsoft just wants to have their hand on the trophy. You know, they don't, you know, they ain't necessarily looking to hoist it up in victory, but they're looking to have their hand on it. And when he used that analogy, that made me think about the year the Dallas Cowboys won the Super Bowl with Barry Switzer as their coach. Jimmy Johnson built that team, and he turned them into an elite team, and they won 2 Super Bowls under Jimmy Johnson. But Jimmy Johnson was boxing with Jerry Jones, so Jerry Jones fired him and brought in Barry Switzer. When Barry Switzer took over that team, it was on automatic pilot. Everybody knew what they had to do. Aikman, Emmett, Michael Irvin, everybody knew what they had to do. So all he had to do was just come in there and act like the coach. And they still went on to win the Super Bowl. And it showed when they won the Super Bowl, because up there on that podium, when they gave the trophy to Barry Switzer, Jerry Jones came up there to get the trophy. And before Barry Switzer gave him the trophy, he looked at Jerry Jones and was like, "Are you having fun yet? Are you having fun yet?" And he stuck his hand out to try to shake Jerry Jones' hands. Jerry Jones didn't even shake hands with him. He just snatched the trophy right up out of his arms. You know, and Barry Switzer was in a hot seat anyway, because I think he had been there a couple of years and they hadn't gotten to the Super Bowl. So he was on a hot seat. So he was about to be fired. And I think that was part of the reason why he was like, "Are you having fun yet? Are you having fun yet?" To me, the way Jerry Jones snatched that trophy out of his hand and didn't even shake hands with him and didn't even acknowledge him. To me, Jerry Jones was Nintendo, and Microsoft was the useless guy that just handed him that trophy. He was just there. And I think, but he still benefited from it, even though he was kind of useless. I think that's what we're looking at right here. I think Microsoft, I think Microsoft looks like the useless groupie trying to put Game Pass on the Switch and on the PlayStation. Sam Ash, you said, "The thing I don't understand, why would I want to play a downgraded version, which will be a third party on Switch through Game Pass, when I could play it native if they just put the game there?" True. I mean, but it still gives you another option. I mean, over on the PlayStation side, we made the rough guess that there's probably about 96 million PlayStations sold. And I'm willing to bet that out of those 96 million people who have PlayStations, I'm willing to bet maybe at least 5 million of them might have Xboxes as well. If Game Pass were to come to the PlayStation next generation, they won't even console-wise, they won't even cut into the PlayStation, user base that much. Because the 5 million people that I'm estimating that might own an Xbox and a PlayStation as well, Game Pass come to the PlayStation, those 5 million people are going to feel like there's no reason to own the Xbox. I've got a console that's just, that's definitely powerful enough to run these Xbox games, and I don't have to buy an Xbox to do it. So why would I buy an Xbox? I mean, I know it's not coming to PlayStation, Spartan Guy, but I was just using an example that if Game Pass were to come to the PlayStation, it would definitely benefit Microsoft, because they get to cut into that 96 million that's out there. I even said it on my last podcast that let's say the Game Pass were to come to the PlayStation, and then when Microsoft releases one of their bullshit ass games, they put Game Pass on sale for about $1, for 1 month, or $1 for, $2 for 2 months. That some of that PlayStation user base, that some of those 96 million PlayStation users are going to get Game Pass for a month or two. Maybe 10, maybe 15, maybe 20 million of them will grab Game Pass for about a month. just to look at the new game that Microsoft put out, even though they know it's some AA bullshit, even though it's some State of Decay looking shit. But Microsoft just made a cool $20 million on a platform that they had just put that app on. So, I mean, Microsoft knows that they'll never be able to outsell Sony in the hardware department. So if you can't beat them, piggyback off of them. And that's what this shit is all about. Cyberdracting, you said expect 100 million limited edition PS4. Very well possible, but I think when Sony hits the 100 million mark on the PS4, I think that's also gonna come into play to when they release the PS5. So I'm hoping they hit 100 million more sooner than later on the PS4. I think it's very well possible that they could come out with a commemorative edition PS4 Pro to commemorate 100 million PlayStations sold. But that would also be manufacturing costs that that could be going towards the PlayStation 5. So I don't know. But I will say that if I was able to get my hands on one of those translucent PS4 Pros to commemorate 50 million PlayStations sold, I would definitely get my hands on that because I wanted one of those. But I didn't want to drop the $500 for it. But I mean, now that I got everything I want, and everything I need with the PC, PlayStation Pro, PlayStation VR, Oculus, all that shit, if I had a chance to get my hands on one of those translucent PS4s, I would grab it, just at least for a collector's item. Even if I never used it, I would still grab it for a collector's item. Oh, there's no question, Spartan God, that they're going to hit 100 million this year. I'm just hoping that they hit 100 million before E3, so Sony can stop with this silent shit and just go ahead and come on out of the bushes and let us know what's going on. I think they're going to tell us something pretty soon anyway. I think they're going to tell us something within a few months anyway. I mean, it seems the cat seems to be out of the bag. That Microsoft is going to go ahead and reveal Anaconda and Lockhart at E3, which I think one of those because they'll be revealing those consoles at E3. There's no doubt in my mind at least one of those consoles is going to launch this year. How many times have you seen a console get featured at E3 and take a whole year or a year and a half for that console to come out? No, it usually comes out that year. It usually comes out, I think, within 6 months of the console being revealed. If I'm not mistaken, the PS4 Pro was revealed in August of 2016 and it launched in November of 2016, only a few months later. The only console that I know about where they made an announcement of it and the console was still a whole year out was the Xbox One X. And the only reason they did that shit was because the Pro was out there and they were trying to stifle sales of the PlayStation Pro by saying that our console will really do 4K 60 uncompromised, trying to get people to hold off of buying the PlayStation Pro and wait a whole fucking year and a half for the Xbox One X. That was the only time I've seen a console get at least announced, and it still took a year and a half for the fucking console to come out. I think if it wasn't for the if it was not for the PlayStation Pro, we would not have heard about the Xbox One X until E3 of 2017. But by the time E3 2017 came around, we had already known that the Xbox One X was coming for the past year. We just did not know the name of it. We just knew that it was codenamed Scorpio. And like I said, they only did that shit to try to fuck with the flow. They can go at this video VR Project Boundary. You lost me on that one a little bit, Eddie. But yeah, Anaconda or Lockhart, if they get revealed at E3, one of those consoles is releasing this year. The PlayStation 5, on the other hand, I'm still sticking to my belief that it's going to release in 2019. I still think it makes the most sense, but I will say that I think if it's going to release in November of 2019, we will get some kind of announcement by E3, even if they're not going to be there. I think we will still get some kind of announcement from Sony, whether they do it, at GDC or whether they trickle the shit out on over the internet, whether they let it leak out on YouTube. I think we're gonna get something from them in the next few months if they plan on releasing that console this year. And I think the release date of these games that they have this year aligns with that theory. The one game that fucked up my whole theory was Days Gone, because I made a guess that game would launch somewhere between January and March of 2019. That's a pretty big window. So in that sense, I was right. But once the shit got pushed back to April, then that made me think that, okay, now I'm not so sure that the console is going to release in November of 2019, because in order for that to happen, you got to get all these other games out, and you're going to end up bunching these games together, not spreading them out and giving them a chance to reach their full potential. And I think I will admit, with these single player games, I think you kind of, some of these games, I think you kind of got to get on them with it while they're hot. Because I think there's a lot of people out there when it comes to these single player games, if they don't get them when the game first comes out, while the hype is still out about the game, while it's still hot, they might not pick it up for a while, or at least till the game goes on sale. So like a game like Spider-Man, for instance, or God of War. I think the game was going to sell when it first came out. It was going to be hot. And then I think after a month or two, when the hype starts to die down, but the game is still $60, then those sales are going to slow down. And now that's where that's where them putting the game on sale comes in. That is my belief. You said Ghost Giant for the PSVR got an April 16th release date. I mean, go back at PS. You said go look at PS4 VR Project Boundary. Oh, you mean that's the name of the game, Project Boundary? All right, we'll check it out. There's a game called Shadow something that's coming out on all Oculus, Steam, and PSVR. It looks like Elder Scrolls the way it should have been done. It is a really slick looking game. It hasn't gotten a release date yet. That's definitely a game I'm thinking about checking out. And being honest, I think I might end up getting it on the Oculus, because it's probably gonna run better. It may or may not look better. I think it might look better, but yeah, let me look at that game again. It's called Shadow something. New releases on sale now are free essentials or a mystery. There it is, Shadow Legend VR. I think that's gonna be a hot game. Because it looks like Elder Scrolls the way it should have been done. J-Dog, you said you wish Days Gone would have released February 22nd. Anthem would have hurt sales. Yes. I mean, not just Anthem. A bunch of games was cluttered together in February. You had Anthem, Metro, Crackdown 3. So, shit, that would have been a fucking tornado for Days Gone to have to fight through. So Sony did the right thing by moving that game out to April. I don't know if they had to move it that far out, but they definitely had to move it. Sick Humor, what is up? The thing with the Project Cars podcast, the stream, shit, my computer, everything just like everything locked up. And then the fucked up part about it is my computer recognizes my racing wheel, but it would not work on that Project Cars game for whatever reason. So whenever I do play that game, I'm going to have to use a controller. I'll go back and try that stream again, but yeah, you said you might have to use OBS for Project Cars too. Possibly, but one thing's for certain, my racing wheel didn't work on it, and that was a huge disappointment. But I'm not mad because I only spent $20 on the game. I think it's absolute crazy that the game is still $60 at Steam, and the game is 2 years old. I was able to find it for $20 at G2A. So with that being said, I'm not upset. You said, what doesn't have that issue? PSVR. This is true. This is true. So make no mistake about it. Sick, my heart is still with PlayStation VR. I'm just, I'm going to get to that in a little bit. The difference between the two platforms, and they both serve a purpose now. So let me see. Let's get on to the next subject. I've been streaming. I don't got a lot of time because, like I said, I got to get out of here pretty soon. And I'm just being a dick. I love PC and PlayStation. Yeah, I know. I seen you. I seen your funny laugh with the PSVR. You're right though. Sick. When it comes to streaming, there is no issues with the PlayStation VR. All that shit is linked together. Just hit the go live button and boom, that's it. Just put a title in there, hit go live. That's the end of it. I'm kind of having to go through some shit with this PC, but I still wouldn't, but I still love it though. And damn, boy, I found a new game too. Sick. If you got Oculus, sick, you got to holler at that Dead and Buried. I love that game. It's a free game that comes with the Oculus. I'll talk about that. I'll talk about that in a little bit, but I absolutely love that game. That's another reason why I got to hurry up and get the fuck out of here, run to Best Buy, get this lighted keyboard, come back, get some more Oculus in, and get ready to hook up with JTech. Well, let me see. What do I got for the next topic? Yeah, this is an interesting one here. Sick. You want to jump in here, Sick, and talk about this next issue? And I want to talk about, Anthem sells 10% of the first Destiny, 50% of Mass Effect 3 physically in the UK. And I want to, get into, what happens for everybody moving forward. It's kind of crazy what's going on with this game. On the outside looking in, yeah, the game, I'm hearing that the game has got some bugs, but I don't know if it deserves all the criticism it's getting. I mean, because like people was jumping on, excuse me, BioWare, people was jumping on their fucking head about this game. And I just don't know if that's Anthem is not my type of game. It is not so much because of whether I think it's a Destiny clone, but because of what Destiny was. It was basically a co-op game. I like player versus player more than co-op games. So a four-person co-op game is cool. But I guess when it comes to those kind of games, they are right, but it's not my preference. It's not at the top of my priority list. Fatal Sharad, you said, am I getting the Corsair K70 keyboard? Truth be told, I don't think I really need a high performance keyboard since I'm going to be doing the majority of the gaming that I'm going to be doing from that PC is going to be VR. Flat screen games, it's just like Oculus is taking my love of VR to another level. I would probably jump up and buy 5 first-person shooter games on Oculus and PlayStation VR before I go buy, a Battlefield or something. And there is a game at the Steam store called War Dust, which is 32 versus 32. Basically, the game looks like the spitting image of Battlefield 4. Helicopters, Jeeps, tanks, all that shit. 32 versus 32, first-person shooter game in VR. There ain't no reason for me, if that game is as fun as it looks, there ain't no reason for me to buy a game like Battlefield 4. You said Texas Hold'em is one of your favorite Oculus Rift game. Are you talking about the Poker Stars VR game that I've been playing, or are you talking about something different? Because I love that Poker Stars VR. JP Loco, you said you're just avoiding the Anthem hate. Anthem not for me, so I'll just leave it at that. That's exactly the way I feel. But the way this damn firestorm that's been going on around this game, I think is a little bit overboard. When they caught that heat over that $20 skin and then it died down, I thought that was going to be the end of it. But the way people were talking about this game, I thought it was, it felt like, Crackdown 3 2.0. People act like, they acted like they outraged over this game for some reason. I've heard issues with the loading screen and shit like that, but that just, they're going to fix that if it hasn't been fixed yet. Fatal Sherrod, you said you're talking about Lucky Night Texas Hold'em in VR. Is it a free-to-play game? I mean, because if it's a free-to-play game, I'll definitely check it out. We can definitely hook up. Yeah, it's free. Oh, you got Oculus too. Fatal Sherrod, you got it. That Dead and Buried was a game that came free with my Oculus. Man, we got to play that game. The Dead and Buried, we got to play that game. We got to play this Texas Hold'em game that you're talking about. We got to play Poker Stars VR. If you feel like you would like to get that premium bowling, get that. Let's do that. It's a lot of games. There's a lot of games where we can compete against each other. Between the Steam store and the Oculus store, there's a ton of games in VR where we can compete against each other. I picked up a table tennis game for VR. It was only $10, and it is a online multiplayer game where I can play against live people, but I haven't gone live yet because I'm still trying to learn the game. Same thing with that premium bowling game. You see how shitty I look at that game. So I'm definitely not going online with that game until I get better at it. And one of the things I got to do to get better at it is, clear out some shit, and get stuff out of my living room that's just sitting there taking up space. So I can move my computer out of the way. So, because 2 days in a row, I hit my computer. The fucking controller flew off my hand and hit the computer. JP Loco, of course, Anthem looks great. And even this, like I love the way, from the gunplay that I've seen, I love the way the gun recoils when you shoot that. I love the way it sounds. It's just not my type of game. If it was a player versus player game, I probably would have picked it up. Fatal Sherrod, yeah, I found that out a little bit late. After that controller flew off my hand, yeah, I tightened the straps up on my wrist because the more I thought about it, I was like, if that shit would have, hit my TV, if it would have busted my TV or that PC, I would have been fucked because we talking $2,500 down the drain. So, I dropped $1,000. I dropped $1,000 on that TV and $1,300 on the computer. That's before taxes. So, but yeah, I don't think there's a whole lot to talk about the the Anthem situation. Plus, I'm ready to hurry up and get onto this Oculus shit and start talking about that. So yeah, the situation with Anthem, I think it's I think some of the criticism that this game is taking is a little bit overboard. If the game got bugs and you're going to talk about that, that's fine. But they, the way people talking about this game, they act like BioWare should have never released it. And I think that's going a little bit overboard. They act like the game is completely broken, but I don't know. I really don't know. I haven't played it. I'm just saying on the outside looking in, I've seen a few streams and shit like that on the outside looking in. It just, to me, it may not be the best game that was ever created, but I still think that the criticism that this game is taking is a little bit overboard. Anthem is too repetitive and enemies aren't as good as Destinies or Divisions. I told people what Anthem was going to be and I got called a hater for it. Hey, I don't knock that. The game was never really on my radar. When I bought my computer, they gave me a code. They gave me a choice of getting Anthem or Battlefield 5, but I could not navigate my way through the GeForce. Now, actually, what was it? I think when I got to the GeForce website, I think I typed in the code and it didn't work. As far as that goes, also on the receipt is a code for the Division 2, which I have not typed in yet. And I don't know. I'll eventually get around to it. JP Loco, you said my gaming chair takes up a lot of space in my game room. It's a singular couch chair that works as a rocking chair. Oh man, right here. You got that right. That's the other thing. Hopefully, I'm really hoping in a couple of years, if I can buy a house, then I'm definitely going to set up a man cave in the basement. It's going to be a man cave, bat cave. People going to have to come up to the door and go through a retina scan before they come into the basement and come into the man cave, the bat cave. Wraith, what is up? Wraith the Emperor, what's going on with you? So now, I don't know. I guess last thing to talk about before I get to this Oculus stuff is BioWare bans a streamer for exploiting economy on Anthem. So I guess according to what this streamer was doing, according to him, what he was doing was within the game. He didn't break the game. He didn't circumvent it. He didn't exploit it. He didn't find a glitch or anything like that. I guess he just found a way to get money faster throughout the game. And they banned him for it. And the way he saw it was he felt like if it was in the game, I should have been able to use it. And he was like, if it wasn't supposed to be in the game, then that's their fault for not testing it and make sure that it couldn't be used. So if that's, if what he says is true, that pretty much just sends a message that EA is trying to create a grind for people. So those who don't have the patience to grind will break down and pay for these skins. Because, I mean, that's just the name of the game with these third-party developers that's trying to use, where they looking to make a fuckload of money off of microtransactions, is they deliberately create a grind that the average person cannot deal with. And then they just go ahead and drop the money on the microtransactions. And EA is the master of that. So that's a catchy one right there, because if I like a game enough, I don't mind grinding if I like the game enough. But if the game is bullshit and I feel like they're deliberately putting out obstacles out there to try to make you cave in and pay for microtransactions, and it's a game that I wasn't really crazy about in the first place, chances are I'm probably going to end up getting rid of it. I mean, speaking of getting rid of games, I'm probably gonna, give away my copy of Red Dead Redemption. I haven't played that shit. I only played it twice. I played it 3 times. I just cannot get into that game. And even the online mode, I never even made it to the point where I was engaging with live people because the game automatically started out like a fetch quest, the online part of it. And then to know that, if I kill somebody, I can only take 35 cents off of them and the fucking gun costs $1,000. I ain't fucking with that shit. The game wasn't at the top of my priority list either. So I'm not going to spend a fuckload of time grinding on a game that I'm not that crazy about. So EA banning that dude. What it is, it is what it is. But I guess the big question is, what the rocky start that Anthem has. I'm just gonna play the wait and see game and see what happens with BioWare. Do I think EA is gonna close them? I don't know. But I don't know. I don't know. I still think EA might tighten the screws on them. Hey, JP Loco, you said 8 hours in the Red Dead 2 and you've had enough. I haven't touched it since. Yeah, I think I'm just going to go ahead and give the game away. And I don't think the game is trash. I just cannot get into it. And it's at the point now where I love VR so much that you put 2 racing games in front of me, the flat screen and the virtual reality game. I'm going to take the virtual reality racing game. And now that, first person shooters are here, and there is a ton of first person shooters on Oculus. There's not that many first person shooter games on the PlayStation. I mean, I think Firewall might be the only pure first-person shooter multiplayer game on the PlayStation VR. Sick. You said all the people hating on Anthem is sealing BioWare's fate. We know that EA has a reputation for closing down studios. We also know that when EA have their mind made up that they want to close that studio down to begin with, when that's the plan to start, they're going to send that studio out there to die and put a game out there at a time when the game is going to, get caught in a sandwich between some other major titles. So with that being said, I wouldn't be surprised if BioWare ends up getting closed down for it. I was just trying to tiptoe around that. I didn't want to outright say, yeah, they're going to get closed. I don't know. So I'm just saying, at this point, I'm just saying I wouldn't be surprised if they get closed down. It wouldn't surprise me one bit. And you know what's going to happen if they get closed down? EA is going to acquire their assets. I know that happened with I think the developer of Project Cars 2. I've talked about that before. I guess he was part of a studio, a different development studio. And when their studio closed down, EA tried to acquire their assets, but because that was their part of the clause, but he had his own clause put in that said if he came back under a different studio, then he'd be able to retain the rights to his assets. And he said, which he was able to do that. And he said he would never work with EA again. So he believes that is EA's ultimate goal, is to basically sabotage studios to get closed down so they can acquire their assets. I've kind of been, I kind of been hearing about that too. Sick. You said all the people trying to get, Dragon Age out there, sooner are needlessly hating on Anthem. I've kind of heard that too. And I think that's not a smart move for people to be hating on Anthem just so they can hurry up and get Dragon Age. Because what if EA decides to close them and there won't be no Dragon Age? So they already own BioWare and everything they've ever made. Yeah. And like I said, you know, with Anthem getting out of the blocks the way it is, will EA take chances on new franchises? Will they continue to take chances on new franchises, or will they go the Microsoft route and only put out Gears, Halo, and Forza, the bread and butter games that they know are still going to sell, even though the sales slip year after year? We know FIFA and Madden are going to sell year after year. So will EA continue to stick to those games and not take any chances on any new franchises, and, you know, put all that bread and butter into FIFA and Madden and the whatever you know, mobile games they have out there? That's, you know, we'll have to wait and see. But if they end up closing BioWare, it wouldn't surprise me. But, you know, hey, who knows? Maybe EA have them go ahead and get Dragon Age out there and then slit their throats. Danny Ruiz, you said, you know, I'm going to cop that new MLB The Show. Danny Ruiz, that's definitely a day one purchase for me. But at the same time, I also cannot wait for next generation for the PlayStation 2 VR. Something in my gut, something in my heart, something in my soul tells me that in a few years we're going to get some kind of VR implementation in MLB The Show. They're going to have some kind of VR mode, whether even if it's just home run derby. We're going to see something in that game. We're going to see some kind of VR mode in MLB The Show. I really feel it. Same thing with GT Sport, whatever iteration that they make of that game next generation. I think they are going to implement some kind of VR multiplayer. And I can tell you from playing Project Cars 2 in VR, I did dabble with it a little bit last night, and I can tell you that the big difference between playing Project Cars 2 and GT Sport in VR is that in GT Sport, it's either just me on the track doing a time trial, or I'm racing against the computer, which the AI absolutely sucks. It seems like they're only driving 35 miles an hour. Whereas the VR mode on Project Cars 2, you can set the difficulty and you're racing a full race, you know, against a full grid of racers. I think I was going up against 16 cars. JP Loco, you said Lincoln excited for something VR related. Who would have thought it? So, hey, Sick, you said you about to go cop the Oculus. My man, 100 grand. That's what I'm talking about. Like, as I say in my videos, that's what I'm talking about, baby. That's what I'm talking about. Hey, again, Sick, you know, and I think you build your own computer, so I know your shit is more than powerful enough to handle Oculus. And Oculus comes with 6 free games, Lucky Tales being one of them. So Sick, if you like, I think you were one of the people that thought Super Lucky Tales was all right. So Lucky Tales is in VR, and it's a free game that comes with the Oculus. Dead and Buried is another game that's free that comes with the Oculus. You got to play that. It's got Fortnite cartoony type graphics, but it's a Wild West game where you where you draw against a live opponent, you know, and try to gun them down. But you can move around to try to dodge the bullets while you trying to gun them down. I absolutely love that. I absolutely love that Dead and Buried. And then when you go to the Steam store, you know how the Steam store works. Sick, you know that there's a ton of games at the Steam store. There is a ton of free-to-play games for VR at the Steam store. There is a shitload of multiplayer games. So there is so many games that we can compete against each other, you know, toe to toe. We can do the table tennis toe to toe. We can do that Dead and Buried toe to toe against each other. We can so many games out there. We can fuck with each other at the poker table on Poker Stars. So many games out there. So yes, I absolutely love it. You know, so the $350 for the Oculus was money well spent. Real talk. And I think a game like Dead and Buried, there, I think unless that game is an Oculus exclusive or it is an Oculus timed exclusive, there is no reason a game like that shouldn't make it to the PlayStation VR. In fact, I think a game like Dead and Buried would do pretty well on the PlayStation VR. Lunkin said, "Do you need a lot of room for sensors for first-person shooter Oculus?" No, a lot of those games you can stay in one place, and then the controllers let you draw out your own boundary. It's not a situation like the PlayStation VR where it just where the camera just sprays out, and either you're in it or you're out of it. You know, in the case of the Oculus, when you're setting it up, you set the sensors up wherever you're going to set them up at. And then you use one of the controllers to draw an imaginary line. As far as the Oculus, you said how many wires? One. There's only one wire that runs to the runs from the headset. At the end of that wire, you have a USB port and you have an HDMI port. That HDMI plug that plugs into your graphics card. No way around it. That has to be plugged into your graphics card, or it's not going to work. So the headset itself, just one wire with two plugs at the end of it. You got two sensors. Some YouTubers are saying that you should get a third sensor. But the way my shit is set up, I don't need the third sensor, and you can play the shit. Your room can be pitch black, or your room can be lit up, you know, lit up like the sun. It doesn't matter. I think the sensors for the Oculus are great. The situation with the PlayStation VR, because of that camera, light comes into play. You have to get the right lighting. You got to do all this compromising and shit. You can't have any light hitting the camera head on. You can't have any sunlight hitting the shit head on. People have talked about using green lights and all kinds of other shit to stop drifting, because that's a fact. Some of those PlayStation VR games have drift in them. And for Firewall, that drifting can get really annoying at times, even though I absolutely love the aim controller. But in terms of tracking, the Oculus is much, much better than the PlayStation VR. Facts. So, shit. I guess while we're on that subject, fuck it, you know. I also wanted to talk about the Oculus Quest. The Oculus Quest is a new headset from Oculus that's going to be launching in spring of this year. I guess it's supposed to start at $400. You're going to have a headset and you're going to have touch controllers, but this thing is wireless and you don't need a computer. According to what they're saying, you'll be able to get the same experience that you're getting on Oculus Rift right now without the computer, no wires, just the headset and two touch controllers, and that's it. And I guess the way it works is the headset scans the room and then calibrates your position within that room. So I guess it's also supposed to see objects, you know, it's supposed to be able to, you know, see objects like couches and shit like that, so they don't get in the way. JP Loco, I need to get some shut-eye. Adios. All right, partner, we will catch you later. Christopher Hart, you said VR needs to implement Bluetooth tracking without the need of a camera or something. That's why I was talking about this Oculus Quest. It's supposed to be able to give you Oculus Rift type experience with no wires, no PC, just the headset and the controllers, and that's it. And like games like Moss and shit like that are supposed to be some of the launch games that's going to be coming to the Oculus Quest when it launches. They're supposed to have 50 games at launch. So for my situation, it wouldn't make sense for me to get an Oculus Quest. You said I was always going to get a PC VR, but I wanted to go with the Vive. You sick, you know, the biggest reason I didn't go with the Vive was for two reasons. Price was one thing to consider. You said you want to play Insomniac VR? Oh, VR game? Definitely. I want to check out that War Dust too. The 32 versus 32 first person shooter game in VR. And some of these first person shooter games using the touch controllers, whether you're using Vive or Oculus, are so interactive that like you can pick knives up off the ground and throw them at people and shit. You said Oculus VR is comparable. See, the like in terms of resolution, you know, clarity between the three, Vive is the cleanest. Oculus is in the middle. It's not as clean as Vive, but it's a little bit cleaner than the PlayStation VR. Vive, I believe, sells for $500. Oculus is down to a permanent price of $350. That was one thing to consider. The other thing was room scaling with the Vive. The way people made it sound was that, you know, with Vive, you know, you were going to need a lot of room for the Vive because you basically hang those sensors up on the wall and it scales your entire room. But the biggest reason why I chose the Oculus over the Vive was the controllers. Those controllers, that's just weird to me for the Vive. But they are coming out with new controllers this year, I think called the Vive Knuckles or something like that, which looks pretty neat. You know, it almost looks like a PlayStation Move controller that has that Oculus guard around your hand. So it's definitely an interesting looking controller. So, you know, they were definitely listening and people were fussing about the controllers for the Vive. I really don't care for the Vive controllers. I'll be honest about that. So, you know, give me the Vive headset, but give me the Oculus controllers. So, but this Oculus Quest, I think I have no need for it. But the fact that Oculus has come out with this Quest is telling me that VR is still alive, that it ain't going anywhere anytime soon. We know, you know, Sony's going to take their VR to the next level, next generation. And shit, there's a new company out there, the Pimax. Well, I don't know if they're a new company, but it's a new headset called the Pimax. They've got 3 headsets, a 4K, a 5K, and an 8K. I guess they have a wider field of view because like Oculus and the PlayStation VR is like looking through binoculars, but these ones have a much wider field of view. And the one that I was looking at, the 5K headset, sells for about $700. This is from a Chinese company. I think I've heard, you know, some YouTubers said that they ordered one and it took them damn near a year to get it. Now, I didn't even bother checking the price of the 8K headset. That could be on my radar next year, getting one of those Pimax headsets. Oculus Quest, that's not on my radar because I think I don't think it's going to enhance the experience that Oculus Rift gives you at the moment. I think it just gives you the same experience without a PC, without wires and shit like that. So, and I think it's going to allow you to move around a little bit more. So no, I'm glad that the Oculus Quest is coming out, and I like what the thing is all about, but it's not for me. I'm good with the Oculus. I'm good with the Oculus Rift. With me already having a gaming PC, I don't really see the need to jump up and go ahead and buy this Quest. If I didn't have a gaming PC, then yeah, that's something I would definitely look at. But being that I have a gaming PC, no, there's no reason for me to buy the Quest. But again, I am glad that they are coming out with it. Sick, you said Oculus is the same resolution as the Vive, and the Vive Pro is higher resolution. Yeah. But I mean, in terms of like, when I said that the Vive looks cleaner, I'm just going off of what I saw with the naked eye. Remembering, when I went over to a guy that I work with and I tried his Vive, there was definitely a noticeable difference between the Vive and the PlayStation VR. And based on what I remember seeing of the Vive, I think Oculus is in the ballpark, but from what I remember, based on my experiences with the naked eye, I think Vive is a little bit cleaner. Same thing with the Oculus. It's a little bit cleaner than the PlayStation. It's a noticeable difference, but it's not jaw-dropping. It's not night and day. But I think some of the games you can see, I think some of the games that you might see at the PlayStation store, you can see that the hardware limits some of these games. You guys saw me play that VR Sports where I was playing that football in VR. I absolutely love that too. And then, to be fair, I went and bought that AMD football for the PlayStation Vive. For the PlayStation VR. And that shit looked like some old ass Atari 2600 shit. That shit was it was just awful. The gameplay was okay, but just looking at the players on there look like something right out of a foosball table. So I couldn't rock with it. And then you look up in the audience and it looked like some old Space Invaders shit. That VR Sports, the football aspect of it is much, much better than the AMD football. So shit, I liked it all. The basketball, the hockey. Oh shit, hour 20 minutes. God damn. What's up, Preston? What's going on with you? Damn, I've been on here way longer than I planned on being. But I guess I'll go ahead and last thing I wanted to talk about was some of the games. I'm just having a great time with Oculus. I talked about that Debt and Bury. That's a free game that comes with the Oculus. And you get an Oculus, there's no reason for you not to play that game, in my opinion. There's no reason this game shouldn't come to the PlayStation VR, in my opinion, because the hardware should be able to handle a game like that. It's got Fortnite cartoon type graphics, but I love the premise of the game. I love what the game is about. The way the game starts out, you're basically dead, and an Undertaker says, "Look at your hands." You see that your hands are skeletons. He's telling you you're dead, but I can help you if you help me. He said, "I can send you back upstairs and send you back up to the living. In return, you got to kill some motherfuckers so I can keep these coffins full." So you go back to the living, and then you can play two to four players, where you're going up against live people, where you have a Wild West type draw, where it's two people in the street, and as soon as it's like go, then you pull your gun out and try to kill them before they kill you. You can bob and weave and move and shit like that to try to dodge the bullets. The gun is at your side on the holster, and as soon as like, okay, go, draw, pull that gun out, try to take them out. I love that. Absolutely love that game. You guys know I love the PokerStars VR. I absolutely love that. I'm liking that premium bowling. I did buy Elite Dangerous. Hold on, Spartan God. I'm gonna have some words for you. Just a minute. Hold on a second. Elite Dangerous. I bought that. I haven't gotten into that too much, but I was able to get a look at it in VR and see one of the big ass ships inside the hangar. I'm definitely gonna mess around with that. I also heard that Lone Echoes people are saying that that's a good game that I got to get. So that's another game I'm gonna get. I'm just trying not to get my pockets hurt too much, because they fucking Steam and Oculus stores killing my goddamn pockets. They got a lot of free games, but they also killing my pockets too. And I thought Sony was breaking my fucking head open. Shit. The Oculus and Steam store is breaking my head open. Now, Spartan God, since Lincoln has betrayed PlayStation, Do we revoke his PlayStation cards or should Sony do it? I know what you meant, the PlayStation card. Treason is frowned upon in America and Japan. Let me explain something to you, Spartan God. Remember when Deion Sanders played for the Atlanta Falcons? That's how he became prime time. That's how he became Neon Deion. He was the hottest thing in an Atlanta Falcons uniform. People were coming to the Atlanta Falcons games to see Deion Sanders. And it happened to be right around that time that they built a new stadium. So when Deion went to the San Francisco 49ers and he came back to Atlanta to play against Atlanta, and he got into that fight on the field with Andre Rison at the end of the game, he said, "This is my house." He said, "I don't care if I'm not with the Falcons. This is my house." So no, you can't take my card away because I put in work for Sony. I've done a lot of nonprofit work for Sony. Because of me, I probably sold a couple of PlayStation VRs. With my campaigning of the PlayStation VR, I probably sold a couple of VRs for Sony. I put in that nonprofit work for Sony. With that being said, I should get a pass whenever I feel like it. I have not betrayed the PlayStation Nation. PSVR is still where my heart at. And the fact of the matter is, I do believe when the next generation comes along and Sony rolls out its next iteration of the PlayStation VR, I do believe that that's going to be my go-to PlayStation, my go-to VR. Fact of the matter is, the biggest reason why I play Oculus more than the PlayStation VR is the multiplayer aspect of it and how many more games they have, how many more free-to-play games. I promise you, Spartan God, if you get a Oculus or a Vive and you go to that Steam store and you see how many free-to-play VR games there are, even multiplayer free-to-play games, you will not be playing the PlayStation VR that much if you are into multiplayer games. Now, with that being said, when it comes to flat screen games, playing regular games, I prefer the single player because I want to see a great movie play out. The God of Wars, the Spider-Mans, great stories, Detroit Become Human. And I would love to be able to play those same games in VR, but if it had multiplayer, that would be a bonus. I still love single player games, but when it comes to VR, I'd like to see more multiplayer games. For my competitive side, games like that table tennis VR that I have, that's an online multiplayer game, mano a mano, me against him. Let's see what you got. They've got a tennis game in VR, this online PvP. I'm going to get that at some point. Let's see what you got. You and me, mano and mano, that dead and buried. You and me in the middle of the street. Let's draw these guns and let's see who fastest. Let's see who handy with the steel. That's definitely a game that I want to stream, but I have not been able to blow the window up to full screen. I can stream it, but you're going to see like a small ass window in the center of the desktop screen. And that's why I haven't streamed it yet, but I absolutely love that game. Anybody who gets an Oculus, that's a free game. There's no reason for you not to play that game. And like I said, with the with graphics that I feel are not demanding, what's up, Ian? With graphics that I feel are not demanding, there is no reason, I think, unless there's some exclusive rights to Oculus, there's no reason this game shouldn't be on the PlayStation VR. I think this game would be huge for the PlayStation VR. That is the big difference right there. Facts are facts. There's way more games at the Steam store, and there are way more multiplayer games, you know, on the PC for VR. No way around it. That game Warzone that I was telling you guys about, it's supposed to be a 50-player first-person shooter game. No date has been announced when it's going to come to the PlayStation VR. The game is going to be cross-play with Oculus and Vive, which I'm really excited about that. And the game is going to have dedicated servers. So there shouldn't be an issue with host migration and all that kind of shit. There shouldn't be any kind of issues with lag and all that kind of shit. The game is in beta right now at the Steam store. You can pay $10 for it and jump into that game right now. But that is a game that I am going to buy on the PlayStation VR because of the aim controller. That is the one drawback about these first-person shooter games on the Oculus, being that I don't have a peripheral that's shaped like a gun. I have to hold my hands in this imaginary position in order to hold the gun. And you have to keep a steady hand. When your hand starts to move, the gun moves in your hand accordingly. So so if you're a person that shakes a lot, you're going to have a hard time hitting your target. Let me see who's got it. It's 1 o'clock. Are you going to play Counter-Strike?
Yeah.
Okay. You still want to come with me to get this keyboard? Okay. I'm going to wrap this podcast up in about 15, 20 minutes.
Okay.
So there you have it, Spartan God. I feel like Deion Sanders. I've done work for PlayStation. I promoted their VR. I promoted their exclusives, which they are amazing. And their exclusives are so amazing that they give you a reason to go out and buy a PlayStation. It's just that now that I have a PC and I have Oculus, I have the best of both worlds. I have the PlayStation VR and I have all those amazing Sony exclusives, and then I have choices on Oculus and on PC. I have the best of both worlds. And now I'm in a situation where there's too many games to play and not enough time to play them. And every day I go into that Steam store to see what games they have. I think there's at least 20 pages worth of games. That's just on the multiplayer games. If I didn't narrow the search, it'd be way more than that. But when I go into the Steam store to look for VR games, I narrow the search. I narrow it down to games that are supported by Oculus, and I narrow it down to games that are online multiplayer. And you can narrow the search even more if you want to include, VR supported or VR only, those kind of things. But just on the criteria that I put in, there's at least 19 pages worth of games. 19 pages worth of Oculus supported games that are online multiplayer. So, with that being said, depending on, the Sony exclusives are definitely are going to be must buys for me, on the PlayStation VR. And I will say, as far as doing my streams, Preston, you said you're getting your PC next month. Cool. Keep me posted. Let me know what you end up getting. I'm no PC expert, but I still, this master race thing, I've tried to steer away from using that, but a few people have thrown that at me about the PC master race now that I got a PC. But keep me posted, Preston. Let me know what you end up getting, because and let me know if you're going to look into getting the Oculus or anything on top of that. I'd definitely be curious about that. And I'm a person that loves hearing about people getting toys. Somebody say they gonna go pick up they about to go get a brand new car. Come pick me up. Let me see you get those, get those keys put in your hand. I want to see that smile on your face. My son is playing Counter-Strike on the PC right now. Which I've said that about Counter-Strike. That was the first game that I seen my son play on the PC. It's a free-to-play game at Steam. And it has current generation graphics. The graphics themselves isn't draw dropping, but the sharpness of it, it is extra sharp. So, with that being said, let me see here. It is almost 1:15 Eastern time. J-Tech goes live at 3 o'clock, so it looks like I'm going to have to hurry up and get off my ass. Okay, you said trying this Division 2 beta now. So far, it's okay. Sick thought it was trash. I'm going to have to go back, find my receipt, and see if the code that Best Buy gave me for the Division 2 is still good. Because they gave it to me free with the purchase of my PC. So who's going to argue with the word free? It is a great, great price. Well, with that being said, I'm gonna get ready to get on out of here. This shit was only supposed to be an hour long or less. So I'm gonna have to hurry up and get on out of here because I'm about to drive through a maniac through traffic. So I get this keyboard and come on back and get ready for the PlayStation Legion. So y'all make sure y'all check that out with J-Tech. And with that being said, get ready to get on out of here. Y'all know the drill. Give it a like. Since you are in Wakanda, my guards will see everybody back to their shuttle, and we'll give you parting gifts. May you all have a safe flight home. And I want to thank everybody for coming to Wakanda, and we will catch y'all next week. And now I'll definitely do another stream today. I don't know what I'm going to stream, but I'm loving it. I'm absolutely loving it. So I will do some kind of stream again today, whether it's bowling, whether it's football, table tennis, poker, what have you. I'm going to do another stream today. And, holla at me when I do that other stream. Also, when I stream for the Oculus, I'm not able to see comments. So bear with me on that. I do apologize for that. I'll try to check my phone periodically to respond to comments. But other than that, we will catch y'all later. Y'all have a good one. I enjoyed kicking it with y'all. We will catch y'all later.